Hey guys, it's Wade here. I thought I'd mix things up a little bit by starting from the end as far as what I'm making, quote unquote, today, and that is this middle block. So I'm going to replace this block right here on the Canopy Latch system. This Canopy Latch system is based off of conversations I had with Mike Bowden. I saw this on his bird probably around 2017-ish at Rough River. Now, his canopy is a little strange as compared to most Long-EZs. He's kind of got the F-104 Starfighter style canopy, and that is a split canopy right at the front. So he's got the front canopy windshield, and then the brake is a semicircular brake. So if you get what I'm saying. So the whole point of me explaining that is he does not have this front hook right here because the canopy doesn't actually start till right about in here. So I tried to take his system and employ it with what I have here. And if you've seen my videos in the past where I've kind of been bemoaning the configuration of trying to get this hook into the system and then the connection here and how all that configuration was going to play out and my woes there. I never actually got that completely figured out, but in the meantime, within a few years after that, I would say maybe around 2022-ish, that was the first time I'd ran into Howard Kalk, who's from, I believe, the Baltimore area. And he has this type of canopy handle, but his is a little bit different configuration. And I've seen both styles. I'll call it the Mike Bowden style, which has this block right here, which means that when you open this handle up, let me see if I can get to it. There, and it's not connected, of course. I just machined this handle. But when you open this handle up, it pulls a rod here, and it manipulates this rod right there to push or pull on the handle assembly. And of course, the reason why I wanted this horizontal type assembly is because if I was going to go with the traditional stock plans handle, that comes off of the instrument panel. And I have my GNS 480 right in that area, taking up space because I had this slamming all the way over to the left-hand side. So I have no room for a more traditional style canopy latch handle coming off of the instrument panel. I then had one that dropped down. That was the Jack Williamson, pretty fancy, had kind of like a spinning handle, that like a cam style handle, and that looks pretty cool. That was an aftermarket product that he sold. But I went with this F15 throttle handle, replete with all the numerous switches on that, and so that takes up space. So I needed to have room there. I ran across this guy here, decided it would fit my needs, and it does so far, but I got to get the final configuration set up. This block right here, again, this is the Mike Bowden setup. And so I'm going with more of what the Howard Kalk setup is. And that is this piece right here, which basically hollows that out in the middle there. So the rod that pushes this and this rod can go a lot further aft. And I think that will help. One of the issues I was having was I wasn't getting any type of snap or any type of real over center action, and so this was staying not completely, it wasn't latching in hard. I just went ahead and completely redesigned this, and I said, well, let me try Howard's method because there's some things on there that I like a little better. This will replace that. If you want to see how I made it, watching. If not, fast forward to the end of the video and I will show this sucker installed here. So that's about it. Welcome to another machining video for another aircraft part. Okay guys, welcome to Fusion 360. Here's the new center component that will be replacing the center block. That's the Mike Bowden configuration or the style. So I shortened this just a little bit from about right here going forward to right here. This is the aft side over here. I've cleared out the center of this block here so that the rod coming aft won't bottom out going aft right here at the wall of the block, but it can go all the way to this area right here and internally. And I've added this cylindrical piece. I'm going to put a bronze oil sleeve bearing in to have for that rod to go back and forth. So that's the new configuration with the longer throw of the rod. So this configuration right here is how Howard Kalk has his handle set up, which is basically this style of handle. Also, I'd like to point out that I moved the rod transit hole. This is the outboard side on the sidewall right along here. The hole was somewhat close, more outboard. I moved it more inboard. That should hopefully get me a better over center with the rod configurations, the two linked rods. So I've moved the hole out. And when I say out, I mean more inboard along this edge right here. So that's another modification I've done. I wanted to leave a little bit more meat here so that I would have these threads. I didn't want to have to swap out or create or machine new brackets. So I wanted to get as much meat for these screws, and that's why this is a little thick right here. But that's the new configuration. All right, guys, now that I've shown you the center bracket that I'm going to make, this is a 1x1 inch bar that I cut off of this bar right here. I believe it's 6061. I bought it for something else in the future, so I'll double check. This is about 1.8, a hair over, since I'm going to trim it down. 1.8 inches long, and just to show you the difference in size, this is a 3D printed version of the block that you saw earlier that's actually mounted in the Canopy Latch handle. All right, so I'm going to face this down. This needs to be about 3/4 inch high. So we're going to take 1/4 inch off using this guy right here. I intentionally let this go with about one pass too few. You can see a little bit of a ridge here, here, and here. This is supposed to be 3/4 inch thick, and I left a little bit extra so I could dial it in specifically. One extra pass. You can feel one little ridge in here. You can probably see it. It's where that light is hitting, just barely. All right, sports fans, I've flipped this 90 degrees and I'm going to face this down using the Superfly this time. Okay, so it looks pretty good. I told it to leave 15 thousandths stock to leave so that I could make sure that I'm getting my measurement. What I'm looking for is 0.83 inch tall. And according to the CNC program, it says I'm at 0.845 when I measure this and do this final pass. So as you can see, I've got the block turned up vertically. I've done all the facing that I'm going to do on it. Pretty tight on the dimensions. I'm getting ready to find it X, Y, and Z0 here. The probing. Okay, again, we'll accept this. We'll send this up. And while that's going up, to get in here to cut this slot down, I'm going to come in from the side. Again, that's that little tiny bit of a ridge right there that I told you that I'm going to wipe out, which I'm going to do right now. I'm going to start out with kind of my hogging tool, my go-to guy here, tool number 31. Works very well. I had to load this up and make this tool up. This is a 7/16 inch end mill. It's the only one that's long enough to get down in there, and small enough diameter wise, just a hair to go back and forth and skim each side. So I'm going to have to probe this tool for the height of the tool on the tool probe right here, and we're going to probe the height on this as compared to tool 0. I'm going to confirm it. I've got the file loaded up for the G code for this next operation of hogging out that center. I'm going to go ahead and hit this guy here, and we're going to go ahead and use the pendant now, and we'll aim this mister here. Got that for our chip evacuation. We'll start this out, and I like to pause it a couple times just to verify that the height's good. Now it's coming down right over it because I'm actually doing a pocket starting out. So that shows me that height there, and then over here this gives me an idea. It should be about 1/2 inch above, so we're close. That's a little fast because that's so tall and thin. I'm going to come down on this feed override and bring it down to about maybe 60%. I'm going down about 5/8 of an inch on this first push down. It took me about 3 hours to post-process this, and this is kind of the only way I could figure out how to do some of this stuff, so it might look a little janky. It's really being a pain in the butt. I wanted to keep it off the outside. Okay, so we have maxed out the depth on this tool 31, and so that's why we're going to go to... So tool 17 is in. Alright guys, my camera locked up because I was filming so much, but here is the end result. I'm very pleased with how this came out. It's about 5/1000ths off on the depth, but that looks good. I'm going to flip this over, turn it 90 degrees, and mill the other end, kind of the barrel side. Okay, sports fans, as you can see, I've flipped this block over 180 degrees, and I've also turned it 90 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and get X, Y, and Z0, probe this. That shows everything is set to 0. We'll accept it and send this guy up. Definitely need to oil everything on this actually. So I'm going to start out with a drilling operation for the hole for the rod. I've already got this chucked up, which means I've already got the depth, the height on this drill bit. This is a little over 1/4 of an inch, so I'm just going to do that to do a little bit of clearing. And then once I do that operation, I'll roll into the next operation, which is pretty much the final one. I'm going to leave just a little bit of extra stock inside that hole just to double check because I want a really tight interference. I'm going to press that oil seal bearing into that hole. Alright, it's telling us to put tool 93 in. So we got tool 93, put a little bit of WD-40 on there. Now let's do this. Alright, so we got that little operation out of the way, and now we're going to create the cylindrical barrel looking thing projecting out from this end. That's where the oil sleeve bearing will fit down inside that. This next operation is going to take a little bit because I'm taking thin, narrow cuts and not that deep, so it's going to take a while for the clearance initially on this guy. Again, I'm using my hogging tool. I didn't want to take too much off at a time because of this narrow piece that's quite vertical. So you can see we have a number of cycles, so I'll skip ahead in a little bit. The thickness of this is about the thickness of these two right here. I left 20 thousandths stock to leave on this operation right here. So this is, like I said, this is 20 thousandths over, stock to leave. I'm going to use this guy next. It's a 3/8 inch end mill. And then this will take off 10 thou. And then the next one will take it off down all the way. So that took another 10 thousandths off. I'm hoping that I don't have a flat spot right there because that's not a whole lot left to take off, and there should be round, but whatever. It's a tactical bird. So there's a hint of a flat spot right there. So I took the diameter down inside CAD just a hair, and then that'll reduce this outer diameter. I also measured the inside diameter, which I had already planned on doing. We needed about another 15 thou. So I'm going to redo this perimeter, redo the inside, and then chamfer the edge. Alright, so our hole's looking good. So there it is. I measured the inside diameter. I got right around 400 and 39 to about 443. And the outside diameter of that oil sleeve is 0.44 for 440 thousandths. So we are right in the ballpark.